Lakshmi Prasanna, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In this session, we will see what are different types of communication, and we will discuss about the pin configuration of 8251 USART. So here, before going to the pin configuration, first we have to discuss about this 8251 USART features. Here this USART stands for Universal Synchronous Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. So it is one of the IC which will be converting serial data into parallel data and parallel data to serial data. First we will discuss about what are different features of this 8251 USART. So this 8251 USART is developed by Intel and it is compatible with many types of microprocessors. Not only for 8086, it is also compatible with 8085 and 8080 and 8088 microprocessors. Now, so here this USART 8251 IC, it represents Universal Synchronous Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. So generally this USART will be placed as a mediator, that means in the middle of this microprocessor and peripheral devices. So what is the purpose means, this USART IC, it is going to convert serial data into parallel data and parallel data to serial data. So generally if we consider here the peripheral devices, it will be giving the serial data and it will also take the serial data as the input. But coming to the microprocessor will take parallel data as the input, perform some operations on that input, and it is going to produce the output. It will also be in the parallel manner. So here, in order to have data transfer between these peripheral devices and microprocessor, it is necessary to convert serial data to parallel data. And in order to communicate this microprocessor with the peripheral devices, it is necessary to convert parallel data to serial data. So that is why it is possible if you have this 8251 USART IC in between the peripheral devices and microprocessor. So the main purpose of this 8251 USART is it is going to convert serial information to parallel information and vice versa. Now, so it takes data serially from the peripheral devices and it is going to convert into the parallel form. After converting the data into the parallel form, then it will be produced to the CPU. Here CPU is microprocessor. So the microprocessor is going to take the parallel data and it is going to perform some operations on the received parallel data and it is going to convert into serial form. Then that serial form data will be given to the analog devices, that is IO devices, which we can also call as peripheral devices. Now, and another features of this 8251 USART is, this 8251 is available in 28 pin dual inline package. So the total number of pins that are available for this 8251 USART is 28 pins. So all these 28 pins will be arranged in the dual inline package. That means at one side we will have 14 pins. On the another side of the processor we will have the remaining 14 pins. So arranging the pins in that manner generally will be called as dual inline package. So this 8251 IC is having total 20 pins. And so all the inputs and outputs are TTL compatible. So here this TTL represents transistor logic. So here this transistor logic means generally the data will be transmitted from peripheral devices to the processor and the data generally we are calling, it will be represented in the form of zeros and ones. So here if they are converted into TTL voltages, in that case, generally logic 0 and logic 1, because it is in the form of binary data, zeros and ones. So these zeros and ones will be transmitted by converting them into TTL. So TTL represents transistor logic. So here this transistor logic will be supporting the voltage levels from 0 volts and 5 volts. That means here logic 0 will be represented with the help of 0 volts and logic 1 information will be represented with the help of 5 volts. So representing this manner we call as TTL logic, transistor compatible. Now, and another feature is it is able to detect parity, overrun and framing errors. So how this 8251 USART is going to detect such type of errors means, in 8251 USART, it has one register which is called status word register. So here this status word register is a 8-bit register. Okay. So it is a 8-bit register. So totally among the 8 bits of this status word register, the 3 bits are related to this parity, overrun and framing errors. So with the help of the 3 bits available in the status word register, these types of errors can be detected. So all these are the important features of this 8251 USART. Now, here we will see first what is the need of this 8251 IC. So here the need of 8251 USART IC is, it is going to convert serial data to parallel data and parallel data to serial data. So here, for example, if we consider here, there is a peripheral device, or you can also consider it as a IO device. So here generally the IO device will produce the data as the output, and that data will be in the form of serial data. And here if we consider a microprocessor, CPU or microprocessor, generally this microprocessor will take the data as input, and the data should be in the form of parallel data only. And after performing some operations, this microprocessor is going to produce the output. Again, it is in the form of zeros and ones. That data even it will be in the form of parallel manner. In order to transfer this data to another peripheral device, consider here this is peripheral device 2 or IO device. So if you want, this CPU wants to transfer the data to this peripheral device, this peripheral device will accept only the serial data only. So here, in order to have the communication, that is data transfer between this IO device and this microprocessor, this serial data should be converted into parallel data. So in order to do the conversion, we need to have here one IC which will perform that conversion. This IC is 8251 USART, Universal Synchronous Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. So this IC will be converting the serial data into parallel data. And so in order to have here communication, that is data transfer between this microprocessor and peripheral devices, it is necessary to convert this parallel data to serial data. That is why in this place also you should have one IC which will be performing this parallel to serial conversion. So that is the reason here also we should have one 8251 USART IC. So this is the main need of using this 8251 USART as a mediator between the peripheral devices and CPU, because it is going to convert serial data into parallel data and parallel data into serial data. So this is the main feature of this 8251 USART. So this 8251 IC, it is a 28-pin IC, and so it is TTL compatible. That means transistor logic, the voltage levels will be converted into 0 volts and 5 volts. And next one is, it is able to detect this parity, overrun and framing errors. So because of using the status word register format. Now, so here coming to this 8251 USART, generally communication will be performed by using this 8251 USART. So generally here the communications will be done in different ways. So the communication may be either serial communication or parallel communication. Okay. So here in this serial communication and parallel communication, basically this serial communication is preferred. Why? Because this serial communication is supported in long distance communication. So whereas this parallel communication supports only short distance communication. So that is why out of these two types of communication, the serial communication is preferred. And so generally here, this serial communication we will discuss here. So this is the basic representation of serial communication. So here the data will be transmitted from transmitter to the receiver. So in the serial communication, it will be transmitted here bit by bit. In between this transmitter and receiver, we can have a single wire. So using this single wire only, the data will be transmitted from transmitter to the receiver. So here the data will be transmitted bit by bit. So in the serial communication, bit by bit, data is transmitted. Data is transmitted bit by bit at 1 clock pulse. So here, if you consider this is the data, first the LSB bit will be sent, next this one will be sent. Like that, the last bit that will be transmitted is the MSB bit. So here, for each bit transmission, we are going to use each, that is 1 clock pulse. So for 1 clock pulse, 1 bit will be transmitted. So here bit by bit data will be transmitted at 1 clock pulse. And so here, since there is only single wire, in order to transmit this complete data, in order to transmit the data bit by bit from transmitter to the receiver, the speed will be low because only single wire is present in between. Okay, so that is why we say here speed is slow. And next one is, it supports long distance communication. So the serial communication is preferred for longer distance communication. And another type of communication here is parallel communication. So in this type of communication, the data will be transmitted from transmitter to the receiver. But here, there is no single wire, n number of wires are there. So in order to transmit n number of bits, so n bits can be transmitted. Here n bits can be transmitted using n number of wires. Okay, so here this can also be called as, it can transfer bulk of data at a time. Okay, so because there are n number of wires are present between this transmitter and receiver, if there are n number of bits, by using this n number of wires, the data can be transmitted between transmitter and receiver. So that is why, since the bulk of data we are transmitting at a time, it takes place to fast data transfer, because bulk of data will be transmitted from transmitter to the receiver. And another one is, this parallel communication supports short distance communication. So this is preferred during short distance communication. Okay. So this is the main differences between the serial communication and parallel communication. So out of all these two, serial communication is preferred to transmit the data. And here, serial data transmission modes. So here, serial data transmission modes, we have different types of serial data transmission modes. They are classified as simplex. They are classified as simplex, half duplex, and full duplex. So data transfer, serial data transfer can be done based on the transmission modes and data transfer. So based on the transmission modes, it is classified as simplex, half duplex, and full duplex communication. Now, so here, if it is a simplex communication, generally how the communication will be means, here if we consider sender and this is the receiver, in the simplex communication, the data will be transmitted only from one end. It is called one-way communication. So for example, here the communication between the computer and printer comes under the example of simplex communication. Why? Because every time the computer will send the data to the printer every time, and the printer cannot send the data to the computer. So that is why that type of data transmission generally comes under the simplex communication, because it is one-way communication. Every time the sender only will be sending the data to the receiver. And another type of transmission mode is half duplex. Half duplex. So in this half duplex type of communication, here we will have sender and receiver. So in this half duplex communication, the sender will be sending the information to the receiver. After the receiver receives that information only, the receiver will give the information to the sender. That means this type of communication is called two-way communication. So this is two-way communication only, but the communication will not be performed at a time. But not at a time. So the example that comes under this half duplex communication is, walkie-talkies. So if two persons are making conversation by using walkie-talkies, so after making the conversation by one person only, then the second person will be communicating. That example comes under this half duplex communication. So it is a two-way communication, but the communication will not be performed at a time, two-way. Next one is full duplex communication. So in this full duplex communication, so here we will have a sender and here receiver will be there. In this type of communication, the data will be transmitted between the sender and receiver at a time. So it is called two-way communication. It is called two-way communication, and the communication will be performed between the sender and receiver at a time. So the example that comes under this full duplex communication is mobile phones. And these are different transmission modes of serial communication. And so in order to make the serial data transfer properly, this clock signal is very important. So in order to make the synchronization between the two ends of the transmitter and receiver, it is possible with the help of this clock signal only. But the clock signal is different for each serial device. That is why, based on this clock signal for the serial devices, it is classified as synchronous protocol and asynchronous protocol. So in the synchronous protocol, we will have external clock signal, whereas in the asynchronous protocol, we will not have any external clock signal, but the data will be transmitted with the help of internal clock signal. So here there are two ways to synchronize the two ends of a communication. So what are the two ways means? Synchronous data transmission and asynchronous data transmission. So we will see now what is meant by synchronous and asynchronous data transmissions. Now, so coming to the synchronous data transmission, while transmitting the data from transmitter to the receiver, the data will be transmitted in the form of blocks or frames. This type of synchronous data transmission supports full duplex communication. And so here between the sender and receiver, synchronization is compulsory. That is why it is called a synchronous data transmission. So between the sender and receiver, synchronization is compulsory. So in synchronous transmission, there will not be any gaps between the data. That is why we call it as the data in the form of blocks or frames. So it is more efficient and more reliable than asynchronous transmission to transfer large amount of data. So in order to transfer large amount of data, this synchronous data transmission is the efficient technique. And so here if we observe, the data is transmitted between the sender and receiver in the form of blocks or frames. So there is no gap between the data. No gaps are present between the data. Now, so coming to the asynchronous data transmission. In the asynchronous data transmission, here data will be transmitted in the form of byte or character. But while transmitting the data between sender and receiver, there will be gaps present between the data. And this type of asynchronous data transmission will support half duplex communication. So here we are saying that data is transmitted in the form of byte or character, and even for each byte there will be gap present between, and in that gaps we are going to include this stop bit and start bits. So this type of transmission does not require any synchronization. So that is why we are not using any external clock signal. By using internal clock signal only, the data transmission will be performed. And so here, in this case, the data will be transmitted between sender and receiver. The data will be in the form of byte or character. So this is one byte or character, this is another byte, this is another byte. But for each byte or character, there is a gap present between the data. So this is called gap. So here the byte or character, it will be transmitted from sender to the receiver by including the extra bits. We have to include the extra bits for the original data. That bits are called start bits and stop bit. Like this, for each character or for each byte, the stop bit and start bit should be included. So here generally the start bit will be indicated with 0, whereas the stop bit will be indicated with 1. So whatever the data is present in between, that data will be considered as a original data. So in this way, the data will be transmitted from sender to the receiver in asynchronous data transmission technique. Now, so clock signal in synchronous and asynchronous data transmission. So the clock signal in the synchronous case, we are going to use the external clock signal, whereas in the asynchronous data transmission, no external clock signal is preferred. And next one is, we have to discuss about the pin diagram of 8251 USART. So here this USART represents, here USART represents universal synchronous asynchronous receiver transmitter. Okay. So USART stands for Universal Synchronous Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. So in order to perform this operation, it is available in the form of IC, and the IC number is 8251A. So where here A represents the version of this 8251 IC. And in the features of this 8251, we have studied that it consists of 28 pins. So here this is 1 to 28 pins are here, and all the pins are arranged in the dual inline package. So here we will have 1 to 14 pins, and from 15th pin to 28th pin will be at the another end. So this type of arrangement of pins in the IC we call as dual inline package. And here coming to the pins of this 8251 USART. So here we can find the pins 1, 2 and here 5, 6, 7 and 8. Along with that, this 27 and 28 pin. So these are the pins representing D0 to D1. Okay. So this D0 to D1 signals, generally they are called as bidirectional data lines. So using these bidirectional data lines only, the information will be transmitted from 8251 to 8086 microprocessor. And here this D0 to D0 to D7. These are the bidirectional data lines. And the next one is here RxD. So here this RxD represents receiver, receive data. Okay. So next signal is GND. So this is the fourth pin. It represents GND. So this GND represents ground. And next here, this is the TXC. So this TXC, there is bar represented on the top. So this TXC represents transmitter. So TX represents transmitter and this C represents clock. Transmitter, clock. And this is active low signal. And the next signal is WR bar. So here there is bar on the top. So in this signal also it is active low signal. So here WR indicates right. And next signal is CS bar. So here CS bar represents chip select. So for many peripheral devices, up to now what we have seen, all the peripheral devices, ICs are having this chip select signal. And next one is the 12th pin. It represents C by D bar. So it represents, C represents control register and D represents data, buffer, select. So C by D bar, C represents control register and in this case D bar. So D is only active low signal. So this D bar represents data, buffer, select. And next signal is RD bar. So here RD bar, it is also low, active low signal. So RD represents here read signal. And next one is RX, RDY. Okay, so this is active high signal. RX stands for receiver and RDY stands for ready. So RX, RDY means receiver ready. And this 15th pin is TX, RDY. So here this TX, RDY represents, TX represents transmitter. So RDY means ready. And next signal is sync SYNDET/BD. Okay. So SYNDET represents sync detect, or so BD represents break detect. Okay. So this is a sync detect and break detect. And the next 17th pin is here CTS bar. So this is active low signal. CTS stands for clear to send. So this is clear to send. And next this 18th pin is TX, EM, PTY. Okay. So in this case this TX stands for transmitter. This EMPTY represents empty. And next signal, 19th pin, it is TXD. So in this case, this TX represents transmit. And here D is data. So TXD represents transmit data. And next, this 20th pin is CLK. So it represents clock signal. And here this 21st pin, it is a reset signal which is used to reset this 8251A USART. And next 22nd pin is DSR bar. So this signal is active low signal. DSR represents data. S means set and R represents ready. Data set ready. And next this 23rd pin, it is RTS bar. It is also active low signal. RTS represents, R means request to send. Okay. And the next one is 24th signal. It is DTR bar. So DTR means data transmit ready. So data transmit ready. And next, this is RX bar. Okay. So this RX stands for receiver and C represents clock, that is receiver clock. And here anyway the 26th pin, it is VCC. So VCC represents power supply. So all these are the 28 signals available in this 8251A USART. Now we will discuss about the function of all these 28 signals in detail. Now, so this is also the same pin diagram of 8251A USART only. Here in this pin diagram, all the pins are same in the previous pin diagram only. But here in this case, if you observe, clearly the signal directions are given. So if you observe here, this is D2, D3, okay. So here D4, D5. So all these data lines from D0 to D7, all these signals are represented in the form of bidirectional. That means these signals will be acting as both input terminal and output terminal. Whereas if you see here, this receiver data is acting as a input terminal. And like that here, TXC bar, it is also the input terminal, that is transmitter clock. So WR bar, it is write signal. It is also represented as the input signal. That means the information is coming from somewhere to this 8251 USART. That means this 8086 microprocessor is going to write the information to 8251 by using this WR bar signal. So that is why it is considered as a input signal. And so here if you see RX, RDY, so it is represented as the output signal. So this from 8251, it will be going to outside. So saying that the receiver is ready. So in this pin diagram, clearly it is given which signal is the input terminal and which signal is the output terminal. Coming to the function of each pin in detail. So first is here D0 to D7. So these are the bidirectional data lines. So these are the bidirectional data lines. So they will be acting as both input and output terminal. So this D0 to D7 data lines will be connected to the data bus. So through that data bus only, this 8251 and 8086 microprocessor will be transferring the data. And next signal is reset. So the function of this reset signal is if this reset signal is high, it is already it is active high signal. If this reset signal is enabled, then 8251A USART will get reset. And this reset is acting as a input terminal. So in order to reset 8251, we have to enable this reset signal. And next one is clock signal. So here this clock signal is necessary in order to synchronize the transmitter and receiver end. So this clock signal is considered as a input terminal. That means this terminal is input terminal for 8251. This clock signal is used to generate internal device timing. Clock signal is independent of RXC and TXC because at the transmitter end we will have one clock signal. At the receiver end it will also have its own clock signal. So here TXC represents transmitter clock and this RXC represents receiver clock. And next one is write signal. Okay, so here bar is indicated on the top, or we can write like WR bar. So it is considered as active low signal. So using this signal only, the data will be transmitted from 8086 microprocessor to 8251 USART. That means 8086 microprocessor will write the information to 8251. So what type of information here? What type of information? Writing means transmitting. So what type of information can be transmitted means the information like data and control words from 8086 will be transmitted to 8251 USART. And this write signal is considered as a input terminal. So just we have seen the pin configuration. In that the signal directions are given. If you see the signal direction for this write signal, it is considered as a input terminal. And next signal is RD bar. So here it is read signal. So this can be also represented as RD bar. So it is active low signal. So this signal will be considered as a input terminal. Okay. So using this signal only, it receives a signal for reading received data and status words from 8251. That means 8086 microprocessor will read the information from 8251. Reading the information is receiving the information like data and status words from 8251 USART. And next signal is C by D bar. So the C by D bar represents here control register, and data buffer select. Okay. So here if you see this C, that is control register, it is active high signal, whereas here D bar, it represents active low. That means here data buffer select is active low. So if the C by D bar is equal to 1, control register will be enabled. If the C by D bar is equal to 0, since this D bar is active low signal, data buffer will be selected. So the C by D bar is the input terminal. It receives a signal for selecting the data when C by D bar is low, or command words and status words when C by D bar is high. That means when the C by D bar is low, it is going to receive the data. When C by D bar is high, it is going to receive the information like command words and status words. And next signal is CS bar. So here CS bar represents chip select. So it is also active low signal. So when the signal is enabled, this 8251 USART will be operating. It gets enabled. So the CS bar is the input terminal. It is active low signal. When the signal is enabled, it selects 8251 at low level when the CPU accesses. So in order to make the conversion by 8251, we have to enable this CS bar signal. Then only this 8251 IC will be activated. And the next signal is TXD. So TXD stands for transmit data. So using this signal, the data will be transmitted. So whatever the data it is transmitting, it will be in the form of serial data only. So this TXD signal is considered as the output terminal. It is used for transmitting the data which serially converted data is sent out. That means this TXD signal, generally if it is 8251, this TXD signal will be acting as the output terminal. So here whatever the data that is transmitted, the data will be in the form of serial form. And Next signal here, this TX RDY, it represents transmitter ready. Okay. So if this signal is enabled, the transmitter will be ready. That means already whatever the information is there in the transmitter, it have been transmitted, and now the transmitter is ready to receive the next data, or it is ready to transmit the new data. So this TX RDY, it is considered as the output terminal. It indicates that 8251 is ready to accept a transmitted data or character. And next signal here, TX EMPTY. So it represents transmitter empty. Okay. So when this signal is enabled, it represents transmitter is empty. That means whatever the data is there in the transmitter, the complete data has been transmitted. There is no more data present in the transmitter to send. So this transmitter empty, it is considered as the output signal, that is output terminal. It indicates that 8251 has transmitted all the characters and has no data character left. And next signal is TX C bar. So here this TX C bar, it is active low signal. So TXC represents transmitter clock. Okay. So here all these are the pins that are connected to the transmitter section, like transmitter ready, transmitter empty, transmitter clock, transmit data. All these are the signals that will be connected to the transmitter section. So here this transmitter clock is the input terminal. So it is a clock signal which determines the transfer speed of the transmitted data. So at each falling edge of the transmitter clock, it shifts the serial data out from 8251A. So whatever the data that is being transmitted from the transmitter will be in the form of serial data. At every falling edge of the clock signal, the data, one serial data will be transmitted. And so this RxD. So this RxD represents here receive data. That means now the pins that are related to receiver, all these pins will be connected to the receiver section. Here this RxD signal, it is the input terminal. So by using this RxD signal only, the receiver is going to receive the serial data, because transmitter has sent the serial data only. So that is why the receiver is going to receive that serial data. So that serial data will be received by the receiver with the help of this RxD signal that is connected to the receiver section. And next one is Rx RDY. So here Rx stands for receiver and RDY is ready. So it represents receiver ready. Here this signal is connected to the receiver section only. So when this signal is enabled, it indicates that 8251 contains a character that is ready to read. And this Rx RDY is the output terminal. And next signal is Rx C bar. So this is active low signal. RxC represents receiver clock. Okay. So in order to have synchronization at the receiver end, this receiver clock will be used. And this RxC bar, it is the active low signal. It is the input terminal. So clock input signal which determines the transfer speed of received data. And so all those are the receiver section related signals. And next one is SYN-DET. So here SYN-DET represents sync detect and break detect. So here, this sync detect and break detect, it can be acting as both the input terminal and output terminal. So here, internal synchronization mode, in the internal synchronization mode, high synchronous characters are received and synchronized, whereas in the external synchronous mode, so in the internal synchronous mode, high synchronous characters are received and synchronized, whereas in the external synchronous mode, high receiver data or characters. Whereas here in the asynchronous mode, this sync detect and break detect will be acting as a output terminal. When it is acting in the synchronous mode, this signal will be acting as a input terminal. So that is why here sync detect and break detect, it will be acting as both input and output terminal. So in one case it is, that is in asynchronous case, it is acting as output terminal. In the synchronous case, it will be acting as a input terminal. So again in the synchronous case, it is categorized as internal synchronous and external synchronous. And next signal is DSR bar. So DSR bar represents data set ready. So here there is a bar indicated on the top. So it indicates that it is a active low signal. So it is a input terminal, that is a input port for modem interface. So we know what is meant by modem, modulator and demodulator. So this modem, it is a hardware unit which will be acting as a switch between computer and the telephone line in order to connect to the internet. And next signal here, DTR bar. So this is also active low signal. DTR represents data terminal ready. Data terminal ready. So this DTR is the output terminal. It is considered as the output port for modem interface. And RTS is request to send. So request to send, it is also active low signal. It is the output terminal, and this signal is output port for modem interface. And next signal is CTS bar. So it represents clear to send. This CTS is also active low signal. It is the input terminal. Okay. So here by using this signal, modem interface will be used for controlling a transmitter circuit. So here this data set ready and data terminal ready, these two signals, and request to send, clear to send. So this DSR and DTR, these two are the handshaking signals, one set, and request to send and clear to send, these are the another two handshaking signals. So in order to clearly understand this DSR and DTR and RTS and CTS, here let us take DTE and DCE. So DTE stands for data terminal equipment. Okay. So here the data terminal equipment, what we can consider? It can be PC. And here this DCE stands for data communication equipment. Data communication equipment. And this DCE communication equipment may be modem. Because we have discussed just all that two handshaking signals with respect to modem, whether that signal is the input terminal for the modem or output signal for the modem. So here, in order to have communication between this DTE and DCE devices, for example, DTE device we have considered is personal computer, and DCE device we have considered here is a modem. In order to have communication between this PC and modem, First thing is, one signal will be sent from PC to modem. So what is that here? Means DTR, that is data terminal ready. So after the data terminal ready, signal is received by the modem. Then modem is going to assert one signal to the PC. So this is the first signal. After received, it is going to send the signal to the PC. That signal is here DSR. So DSR stands for data set ready. So this is handshaking signals. Then after that, next it is PC is going to send one signal to the modem. That signal is called RTS, request to send. After this modem receives this request to send signal, the modem is going to send one signal to the PC, which is called CTS. That is clear to send. So what is the function of these four signals? Means here first signal is DTR. So when this signal DTR is sent from this PC to modem, it indicates that the DTE is ready for communication. Okay, so if it is ready for communication, the PC is going to send this DTR signal to the modem. Then the modem, if it is willing to make the communication with this PC, it is going to send a DSR to the PC. So here DSR represents data set ready. If the signal is sent from this modem to the PC, it indicates that DCE. So this DSR is going from DCE to DTE. It indicates that DCE is turned on and modem makes connection to network. Okay. So by using these two signals, the communication will be established between this PC and modem. Once if the communication is established between these two, then the data will be transmitted. So here again this PC is going to send this RTS signal. So RTS represents request to send. That means this DTE has byte to send. That means this PC is saying that it is having data to send. If this modem is willing to accept that data, it is going to send the CTS signal to the PC. Next is CTS. So if CTS signal is sent from this modem to PC, it represents buffer space. Buffer space is available for incoming data. Okay. So this is one's handshaking signals. So once if buffer space is available for the incoming data, then it is going to send a signal called TXD, transmit data, and then this modem is going to send a signal called RXD. So all these are the handshaking signals. So using this DTR, DSR, RTS and CTS, these four signals, the communication will be, the data transfer will be performed between this DTE and DCE devices. So this is what about the different types of communication and pin configuration of 8251 USART. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.